Hey y'all, my name is Jillian and welcome back to EMBODY on YouTube. One of the most common questions that I get on a pretty regular basis is, I want more mobility in my hips, but I don't know how to get there. How do I create more mobility in my hips? And there are a lot of different things that you can do. The most important thing is consistency. So today we're gonna go through just a few exercises, just a quick thing that you could honestly add into your daily routine or every other day routine, just to give you a little bit more space, a little bit more mobility, just to help you with the everyday life. So you're not gonna need anything for this little bit dose of a practice, just a little bit of space, maybe a mat, but not even that. And let's get started. So the hips are a very complex web of tendons and muscles and obviously a joint. So we need to do it mindfully and carefully. So the most important thing that you can do is listen to your body. If you feel pain, that is an indication to back off, maybe do something else, reinvestigate it later, whatever works for you. The way that I like to start is with Baddha Konasana. So if you ever did any sort of youth sports activity, you probably did this stretch, especially if you grew up in the 90s. I don't know why, the 90s just loved butterfly stretch. And we call it Baddha Konasana in yoga. So your feet to touch, your knees out wide, but give yourself a little bit of space. So rather than trying to get your heels close to your butt, bring your feet slightly farther away from you. And then if it feels good, you can interlace your hands over the tops of your toes. Lengthen your spine, and then before you fold forward, what I want you to do is bounce your knees. Bouncing your knees kind of acts like a mortar and pestle, so your femur is in your hip socket and it's moving around. Just like if you were using a mortar and pestle to grind up spices or anything like that, we're just moving the bone around the joint, working any sort of fascia or scar tissue that might be there. And then relax your knees, lengthen your spine, take a big breath in, and on your exhale, hinge forward from your hips and fold. And we're gonna do this up and down a couple of times. So on your inhale, you're gonna come back up. On your exhale, you're gonna fold down. Good. 2 more times. Inhale, bring the chest up. Exhale, fold it down. Good. 1 last time. Inhale, bring the chest up. Exhale, fold it down and hold here. Same thing, if you still feel a little bit of congestion in the hips, you can bounce your knees a little bit. Nothing too big. If you notice, my knee bounce is just very small. It really gives me, if you've taken my classes in person, you'll know the story, but it really gives me baby ballet flashbacks. I was a ballet dancer from the age of 2 until I was 12 or 13. And we would do this, and then we would go around the room in alphabetical order and tell everybody what our butterflies look like, but my last name is West. And so I never got to be original because I was a gold butterfly. It's not original, but I was always very disappointed by that. Good. All right, rise on up. And then you're gonna place your hands on the outsides of your knees, close your legs like a book, plant your feet onto the floor, and kind of lean back like you're just hanging out at the beach. You're gonna pick your right ankle up and cross it over your left thigh. I like this kind of reclined position because it's gonna give you a lot of space to work with. Now from here you can stay. This is also a great thing to do if you're watching TV at the end of the day, whatever it is you do to wind down. You can walk the heel in slightly closer. You can also walk your hands up. If this feels a little bit intense or maybe just doesn't work for you and your body today, I hope you can see Ari, she's just staring at me. You can lay down on your back. Same exact thing, you'll just grab for in between your legs, underneath your left knee or over the top of your left shin, and then let your head relax onto the floor. So 2 good options here, lengthening your spine, and you're thinking about pressing your leg away from you, so your right leg away from you. So we're really working active mobility rather than passive, which is why I want to offer you this upright variation, because you're gonna have to use your glute a little bit to press that right knee away from the body. Good. And then switch out to the other side. So you're gonna plant your right foot onto the floor, pick up your left ankle, cross it over your thigh. Same thing, either on your back or sitting up. Good. And remember, you can be far back. What we're looking for here is a sensation through the outside of the glute, just like you would do in half pigeon. This is like a seated pigeon or a reclined pigeon. Good. But keep the back straight and long. If you're up really far, but you're rounded the back, we're losing some of that benefit. So walk your hands back a little bit so you can lift the chest up. Nice. And then when you're ready, gently release. You're gonna roll over onto your knees and come into a tabletop position. Then from here, if you have a pillow or something that you can put underneath your butt, I highly recommend it. Go ahead and pause the video. I said you weren't gonna need anything, but a pillow would be very nice and helpful. So I'll try to put that at the beginning of the video. So hands and knees tabletop. You're gonna bring your knees together and then pick up your left leg and cross it behind your right, separating out your feet wide. And then again, if you have a pillow close by, you can slide it underneath your butt and lower down onto your glutes. So this is working, yes, the outsides of the hips, but it's also working your IT bands. We're really stretching your IT bands, not really working your IT bands. So we want to work here to bring the shins forward as much as is comfortable for you and make sure that your butt is evenly on the ground. So if right now your right glute is kind of lifted from the floor, slide a pillow underneath you so that you can sit evenly. It will also take some of the pressure away from your knees. Good. Flex your feet, take a big breath in. And then on your exhale, hinge forward. It is also absolutely fine if maybe this knee is up a little bit higher and the foot is planted on the floor, and then you just hinge forward a little bit more. Good. And then when you're ready, come on up. You can either come back into a tabletop position, uncross your knees, or you can just cross to the other side. It's really up to you. And then you're gonna open up the feet and come on down. So same thing, pillow underneath your butt, lengthening your spine. And again, all of this is about consistency. It's about stretching your hips every day or every other day. If you're doing like a really big hip opening class every day, I would encourage you not to do that. You can do hip stretches every day, but if you're doing like a hip opening yoga class every day, try to maybe ease that for like once or maybe twice in a week in a 7-day period. But these are hip stretches that you can do every day. You know, they're low impact, they're not super stressful on the body. Well, this one is the most intense one, and it might be a little stressful on the body at first, so take it easy. But really taking the time to give back to your body. Your hips have a lot to do with how your low back feels. So if your low back is tight, yes, do all those things for the back, but don't forget about your hips. They are there and they can pull on the muscles in your back, especially your erector spinae, and it can create that pain and that discomfort. So focus on the hips. And as always, if you have back pain, go see a doctor or a physical therapist, but someone that is qualified to deal with a back injury. Good. And then rise on up. All right, extend both legs out in front of you, give them a little wiggle. We're gonna do one little counter action. Let me take this out. One little counter posture, just because anytime you open up your hips, your posterior chain can start to get a little bit tired, so we want to activate it. You're just going to lay down on your back, plant your feet onto the floor, hips width distance apart. All 10 toes point forward to the front of your mat or to the front of the room. Bring your arms down by your sides. Then press through your feet, draw your pelvis underneath you, so you want to shorten the space between your ribs and your hip bones. Press up towards the sky, squeeze your butt. Good. Just a bridge pose, but a bridge pose with more activation. So rather than squeezing your butt in, instead I want you to think about squeezing your butt up towards your low back. So we're not squeezing the glutes together, we're trying to activate and pull them towards the mid-back. Good, take a big breath in. And then on your exhale, slowly lower down. Step your feet the width of your mat, and then just rock your knees a little bit side to side. Good. And that's that. A few fun, accessible hip stretches. I know that last one can be a little bit of a doozy, but again, take the pillow, take the foot planted, all that sort of stuff, and just see where you get with it. As always, if you want access to longer classes, to more in-depth explanations, check out my Vimeo page. I have classes there from 15 minutes to 75 minutes, from power to vinyasa to HIIT classes. And you can check out my website, JillianElizaYoga.com, for all of my other information, from events to retreats to merchandise. Everything will be on there. As always, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for playing.